Out of everyone on Family Guy, Stewie is by far the most ruthless and savage character. So today, we're looking at some of Stewie's greatest quotes where he roasted, flamed, and eviscerated anyone he felt like. And it seems fitting to start with Stewie's debut, where he uttered a string of phrases that would go down in history.
Damn you, vile woman! You've impeded my work since the day I escaped from your wretched womb.
And a star was born. This single line pretty much told you everything you need to know about Stewie. He's a baby, he hates his mother, and he's got the vocabulary of a snooty British gentleman. Lois is lucky she can't understand him because he's vocally tearing her a new one every chance he gets.
Mark my words, when you least expect it, your uppance will come.
But Lois isn't the only family member Stewie tears apart with his linguistic skills. Meg was the victim of a long-winded talking to and P-tarded when she thought her life was ruined after Peter got diagnosed as mentally challenged.
Oh yes, Meg, yes, everything was going swimmingly for you until this. Yes, this is the thing that will ruin your reputation.
Again, this is another case of some light criticism falling on deaf ears, but Stewie is making a fair point. You can only put the blame on other people so many times before the walls of reality start closing in on you. Not a great sign that your infant brother has to be the one to tell you that.
Do you hear yourself talk? I might kill you tonight.
And she probably wouldn't argue with you. But Meg isn't the only one to get a tongue lashing in this episode, as he also gives one to an escort over at Cleveland's house. Not the kind of tongue lashing she's used to, mind you.
So tell me, is there any tread left on the tires at all? Or at this point would it be like throwing a hot dog down a hallway?
Either way, sounds like a waste of a perfectly good hot dog to me. But Stewie has plenty more to say about his big sister Meg, especially when it comes to the circumstances of her birth, like in Anne the Wiener is.
Guess what I am?
Oh, the end result of a drunken backseat grope fest and a broken prophylactic?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, I suppose. What is it about the car that gets people so hot and bothered? The lack of legroom? The windows that immediately fog up? The very likely chance you get caught and end up on some kind of registry? Well, if you end up with a daughter like Meg, can you truly say it was all worth it? It was for Stewie, who's going to make sure to torture her as much as he can.
Oh, Megan, you must try the brisket. Allow me to serve it in the manner to which you're accustomed.
But a lot of Stewie's insults are usually reserved for his best buddy Brian, who he lays into in Road to Vegas when Brian minimizes the Cirque du Soleil show O to the swimming show.
Don't try to demean it. How does it feel to be the least cultured person at a bus station?
It probably feels the same way no matter where Brian goes, honestly. It could be in a library or a ditch on the side of the road. Brian is sure to be the dimmest bulb in the bunch. Now I can't blame this Stewie for not being super sad that his Brian died.
Well, looks like Archibald Meatpants is gonna have a fun night.
And sometimes Stewie has to be the adult of the family, giving his family a firm talking to in Lethal Weapons when nobody just wants to sit down and shut up.
Meg, stop your whining. Chris, stay on your own side. Lois, for God's sake, get off your ass and do some parenting.
By the time a family's on their third kid, they've already given up the whole parenting part, so leave it to the baby to be the one to lay down the law. I guess they can just let Stewie do the iron fist part of the child raising process, but someone's still gonna have to change that diaper. Stewie's willing to get his hands dirty, but not like that.
Aren't you precious?
And sometimes being the adult of the family means you gotta remind the actual adults of their age, which is what Stewie tries to do with Lois in one of her old outfits in Big Fat.
Who threw out my sequin top?
You're 43, accept it.
It's a shame, but one day we must all say goodbye to the clothes we used to rock back in the day. At some point you have to realize it's no longer socially acceptable to be rocking track shorts in public once you hit a certain age. You can only hope you'll have a blunt but honest baby there ready to help you with the hard part.
You look fat.
And the truth is that Stewie's always willing to hand out some blunt but fair fashion advice, even to people outside the family like he does with Cleveland and Joe in Bry Robot.
You know I love you, but those jeans, they ain't for you.
I knew it. I think I just needed to hear it.
See, roast can be constructive at times, maybe even medically necessary in Cleveland's case. I don't know if the guy was planning on having any more kids anytime soon, but those jeans look so tight that they may have already made that decision for him. Some fits you don't even have to explain. If you see your friend trying to pull off the Crocodile Dundee look, let them down quickly but earnestly.
Copy that.
But sometimes Stewie isn't out to educate, he's out to hurt. This kind of seems to be the driving force behind his rant over Brian's play in the aptly named episode, Brian's Play.
I knew my play was good, just like I knew your play was a mediocre patchwork of hackneyed ideas and tired cliches.
I do feel for Brian because seeing someone effortlessly pull off something you worked super hard to achieve a fraction of would probably send me into some kind of psychosis. But then again, this kind of constructive criticism couldn't have happened to a more deserving dog.
It's filled with terrible double entendres, puns, and stolen bits. There's a line in there from Seinfeld.
Sometimes your dreams just have to remain dreams, and Brian should have been happy for his friend rather than a jealous saboteur. But now he has to reckon with a wound that'll never heal, and he'll make every attempt at writing a sentence make it bleed like it's new.
May every person that laughs at your sophomoric effort be a reminder of your eternal mediocrity.
And it's true that Stewie's best insults usually come in the form of rants, and there's perhaps none as biting or as oddly specific as the one he deals out to his babysitter's boyfriend in 8 Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter.
Ha! I got your hat! Take that, hatless! Now go back to the quad and resume your hacky sack tourney!
He didn't even need to follow up with more insults. The taking of a young man's hat is already strikingly effective. The dude's probably just trying to hide some onset male pattern baldness. No need to continue kicking him while he's down. But Stewie's insults aren't usually known for their brevity, and we love him for it.
That is exactly the kind of idiot you see at Taco Bell at 1 in the morning. The guy who just whiffed his way down the bar ladder.
And nothing gets people more heated than sports, and Stewie is no different, finding himself hurling insults at a tennis umpire after a bad call in a nap a day.
Are you me? That thing was in! You're gonna penalize us because you're a blind blue jacket piece of
What is it about sports that gets people so mad? Can you imagine if someone got this angry over a game of, I don't know, Scrabble? We as a society failed when we let sports fanatics believe that playing with balls was somehow the most serious and important invention ever bestowed upon man. That being said, I do love to see the anger that stems from a missed point or a bad call, and Stewie is more than happy to deliver tenfold.
Oh, you're warning me? I'm warning you! I'm gonna go to your house and your wife!
But sometimes a short insult is all you really need to get your point across, and that's exactly what Stewie whipped out when Chris announced he would be taking things from Stewie's room in Run Chris Run.
There's a book in there on how to eat healthy. Why don't you take that, you fat
So that's the secret to how Stewie keeps his fine figure. I guess that and having the metabolism of a toddler. Pretty sure Chris was fighting a losing battle ever since he was born, though. He's just meant to be a husky fella, but that doesn't mean Stewie can't use it as ammunition.
Because they all think you're a, groundskeeper at a public institution kind of guy.
But Stewie reserves his harshest and crudest insults for his mother, which he gleefully hurls from the roof of their house in He's Black as an act of defiance.
Stewie, you get down from there this instant.
Munch me.
I think after a while he decided she didn't deserve his eloquence and deeply expanded lexicon. Sometimes the B word is all you really need to get your point across. Of course, Lois just thinks she's arguing with a brick wall, not realizing she's absolutely getting her butt handed to her in real time.
Right now, Stewie, or you're in timeout.
How many gray pubes you plucked today, you old bag?
But despite his rebellious nature, Stewie should not be defied, and that includes interrupting his beauty sleep like Chris did in Fast Times at Buddy Sancy Junior High.
Hey! Do you have any idea what time it is? Get in the house, fatty!
After all, Stewie's a growing boy and needs all the sleep he can get. Plus, Chris's nonsense outside is really cutting into the time Stewie could be spending waking up the whole house with his crying. If he can't sleep, why should anyone else?
Just remember, fat man, those jugs are mine until the milk dries up. Then you can have the remains.
But it isn't just Stewie's family that takes the brunt of his insults, as anyone in the outside world is at risk of getting roasted by the toddler, like a waiter who tried too hard to be funny in Space Cadet.
Yeah, that's funny. If there's one onion on that salad, you can forget the $1.80 tip you need to live.
Don't get me wrong, you should definitely tip your waiter and all that, but at the same time, they gotta know when to reel it back. I'm here for you to deliver food from point A to point B. You don't gotta be my friend. I've got enough of those. Don't ask why I'm eating here alone. Just do your job and I'll do mine.
Hang on, honey, I'm getting another call. Hello?
Hey, is fat ass home yet? Put him on, I want to talk to him.
But some of Stewie's best comebacks are usually reserved for his rivals, and while that's a bit of a rotating list, the severity of his comments isn't, like when he spent the majority of From Method to Madness trying to compete against Olivia.
Well, I'd love to stay and chat, but you're a total
Which is weird because Stewie usually likes that about a girl. Someone he can queen out with and hurl insults at passerby on the street. But of course, he has a crush on the girl, so he's got to go through the whole childish routine of acting as if he hates her until he can find a way to tell her how much he likes her. It'll still probably come in the form of an insult, but you gotta look at the intentions behind it.
Pardon me, Simon, could you provide Olivia with a bucket so she can carry a tune?
And so it's been made clear that you should never make Stewie repeat himself, much like Meg did in Peter's sister.
Come help me with the Christmas decorations.
Meg! Help me with the Christmas decorations!
Oh, so Stewie's one of those put up the Christmas decorations as soon as Thanksgiving is done kind of people. Look, Thanksgiving is a pretty overrated holiday, but can't we just sit in the ambience of one holiday without having to immediately rush into the next one? That's right, I said what I said about Thanksgiving. Got a problem? Please forward your hate mail to my shipping address, 135 Bite Me Boulevard, Northeast. Make sure you put the Northeast part in there. The fellas on the Northwest have been getting sick of receiving my hate mail.
What are you working on?
Just trying to make some sense of these numbers.
But sometimes Stewie's roasts aren't always the meanest. Sometimes they're a little light, a little passive-aggressive, but still very funny, like when Stewie grilled Brian about his novel in Brian the Bachelor.
How you coming on that novel you working on? Huh? Got a big stack of papers there?
Doesn't Stewie know that most people who consider themselves writers don't actually do any writing? They just, have a lot of thoughts about writing. And thinking up all those ideas is such a mental strain that you couldn't possibly expect someone to write about those ideas at the same time too, right?
Little story brewing there? Working on that for quite some time, huh? Yeah, talking about that 3 years ago.
Honestly, Brian should consider himself lucky to have a friend like Stewie. Writers 100% need someone to hold them accountable and call them out for not actually doing the thing they said they were gonna do. Does he have to be such a jerk about it? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you got to... No, you deserve some time off.
And sometimes you just gotta be a good friend and talk someone down from their delusions. At least that's the nice way to spin Stewie's takedowns of Lois in Customer of the Week, although I don't think Stewie's intentions are actually all that nice.
You know what I think the problem is, Stewie? I need to show them that I deserve to be Customer of the Week.
You don't.
If you gotta justify your actions to your toddler you can't understand, surely some priorities need to be reevaluated, right? You ever hear about how programmers explain their debugging process to rubber ducks so they can hear their plan out loud and better understand it? I think that's kind of what Lois is doing here, yet somehow she seems even more delusional.
I know, it's a silly little award, but I don't ask for much.
You do.
Unfortunately, Stewie's blunt, constructive criticism is falling on deaf ears, so she's just gonna have to learn that lesson the hard way. And Stewie will be right here to dunk on her when it's all said and done, even though she won't even hear it.
I tip in cash.
So?
And I can't think of one reason why they wouldn't pick me.
I can.
And of course, Stewie is probably the meanest to Lois, having said some truly vile things that no normal person would probably say to their mother, like insinuating what her college experience was like in the story on page 1.
Everything seems so different.
Really? Perhaps if you laid on your back with your ankles behind your ears, that would ring a few bells.
So what? Was she really into yoga? Doesn't sound like anything to be ashamed of. Unless you're one of those people who are really into yoga, like saying namaste in regular conversation. But nah, Stewie's just calling out his mother for being a floozy. Even if she was, better if she got it out of her system before becoming a mother. And he's lucky she can't understand him, otherwise she might just let him soak in that diaper out of spite.
I have no future. I'm just gonna wait in my room until I'm dead.
I'll be in shortly.
And it's probably a good thing that Lois can't understand Stewie anyway, because the hurtful things he says about her are pretty rough, especially when we hear them through Stewie's point of view, like in Family Guy viewer mail number 2.
When I grow up, I'm never gonna call you. I'm gonna be busy with my job and my family. You'll be nothing.
Don't act like Lois isn't counting down the days until she can kick you out of the house. The day she and Peter get to be empty nesters is the day that Lois might actually come alive for the first time in her life. Even still, you probably shouldn't risk insulting the person whose hand comes so close to your unmentionables every day. If she ends up understanding you one day, she could rip those things right off.
Hey kid, come here. I wanna see if I can still smell your mom's boobs on your mouth. Why don't you go hump a pile of garbage?
And Stewie makes sure that if there's ever a time he can physically abuse Lois, he'll drop whatever he's doing and run over to do it, even if he's a little late to the party, like in You Can't Do That on Television, Peter. Those kids really thought they could get away with a beat-up Lois party without inviting him? Stewie's gonna show these kids how to really do a beat-up Lois party. He's like the high school burnout who still shows up to all the parties to show the kids his funneling technique. He's honed his craft for years, and he better believe he's gonna show it off.
Come on, Meg, you gotta save him!
Peter, you need to let go.
And he especially gets violent with Lois when he's accused of doing something he didn't do. He's more than capable of doing bad things, but he only wants credit for the ones he actually had a part in, and peeing on the carpet in Brian in Love is not one of them.
Yes, honey?
How dare you sully my good name by spreading your slanderous filth!
And getting slapped to the white glove is no joke. That means that Lois will have to meet him at dawn for a duel. Regulation rules. 20 paces, turn on the count of 3, no items, final destination, Fox only. You hate to see a mother and son go to war like this, especially when the mother has no idea that she's even involved in a war.
Here's 50 cents. Do me a favor, sweetheart. The next time you're out shopping, why don't you splurge on a tin of solid white albacore?
But Stewie also holds a lot of resentment for his father as well, but while he relishes digging into Lois, he's more content with telling his dad to buzz off, like in Stewie Be Good.
Hey, Stewie, how about Daddy teaches you how to swim?
Go away, fat man.
I'm not entirely convinced Stewie wasn't positive Fat Man was actually Peter's name for a while. If Lois was going to be named Vile Woman, it seems only fitting that Peter would have a nickname of his own. But like Lois, Peter has no idea what Stewie's saying, so Stewie might need to rely on some bigger, louder, more obvious insults to get him off his back.
Good luck, Stewie.
Good luck, Stewie. That's you. That's what you sound like.
And sometimes Stewie decides to get physical with Peter like he does with Lois, even resorting to tripping him up when his dad loses his sight and blind ambition.
Oh my god! I almost didn't do it. I almost didn't do it.
Stewie knows that even when a word or an action might be in bad taste, you may never get the opportunity to do something like this again. Then again, Peter's so clumsy as it is that you could probably still trip him up with 2 working eyes. Still, you know the old Michael Scott quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," Wayne Gretzky. But sometimes his best insults of Peter come to him when he's not even around him, like when Stewie was spit swapping with a Miss Piggy doll in Brian Does Hollywood.
Oh god, look at me having with a pig. I've become my father.
Now that could actually be both a dig at Peter and at Lois. Peter might actually be super happy if Lois is getting compared to Miss Piggy, because then that would mean that Peter is Kermit the Frog in this situation. That really is the dream of all men his age, to be the spindly-legged frog who sings about Kokomo.
Alright, that's it. I was going to watch the movie, but forget it. For the next 5 hours, you're my
And of course, Stewie's known for being steadfast and difficult to budge in his beliefs, so he's not going to let another family's poor planning interrupt his flight to Europe and Lego my Mego.
Do you mind if we switch seats so my family can sit all together?
No, we don't. We don't switch.
That's just one of those inconveniences you've got to expect when booking a flight. And I'm hard-pressed to believe you just had to book a last-minute flight to Paris, where you couldn't find 3 seats together. Have you ever thought that maybe your husband doesn't want to sit with you two? That kid looks like a seat kicker and a crier from ear popping if I've ever seen one.
Ma'am, your poor planning does not constitute an emergency for me. You'll see him in Paris. Go sit down.
And even if you don't talk to Stewie on the plane, don't even try to make eye contact with him either, because then it just opens you right up to being roasted, something one lady unfortunately found out and rode to Vegas.
Don't look at us, you pig. Take your juicy sweatpants and your dirty pillow from home and your bucket of Coke and get the hell out of my sight.
Babies are always talking crap on a flight. All I'm saying is that if it's safe to put dogs down in the cargo hole, it's probably okay to put a baby down there too. Save everyone the embarrassment of being roasted by an infant. The crying would be cool to avoid too.
Yes, and I'm afraid we have no other rooms available.
I see. Is there a less heavy person that could check again for me?
And Stewie's got a lot to say about people on planes, specifically those who he's deemed as physically unfit for the ride, which he points out in Living on a Prayer.
Okay, what else we got on that train?
A kitty cat.
A doggy!
Kevin Smith, because he's too fat to ride a plane.
Yet another dig at a celebrity who's not even here to defend himself. To be fair, I don't know if Kevin Smith could make it there. Not sure if there's a train that runs from New Jersey to Rhode Island frequently enough. To his credit, Kevin Smith has lost quite a bit of weight over the years. I guess that means he had to completely change his wardrobe to something that wasn't hockey jerseys.
If you could hear yourself right now, you would not stop throwing up. You can't just put He-Man in Transformers World. All right?
But sometimes Stewie isn't content with just dissing a celebrity when they're not around. Sometimes he has to do it directly to their face, as he did with actor Matthew McConaughey in The Former Life of Brian.
You are just awful. You're one of the worst actors in the history of film.
I'm pretty positive Matthew has heard about the same, if not worse, for most of his career. Luckily, he's such a chill, vibey guy that he's figured out how to not let it get to him. Just keep agreeing with them and rage bait them into a fit.
Contact, they didn't even need you in that movie. They could have done the whole movie without you.
I know, I said the same thing.
I guess there are 2 forms of toughness on display here. Stewie for speaking his mind without regard to someone's feelings, and Matthews for being so thick-skinned that it's making me wonder if he's even registering what Stewie's saying to him. Either way, being too dumb to be insulted is certainly a superpower that has more benefits than you'd think.
You suck donkey ass.
Now, you can't prove that.
But sometimes insults aren't enough and a more physical response is required, which is exactly what Stewie decided to do with the boy who stole his tricycle in the kiss scene around the world.
Your cruelty merely stems from some deep-seated inner pain. And so the obvious remedy is a healthy dose of outer pain!
There really isn't much in life that can't be solved with a big net. Crabbers have their lives figured out, that's for sure. But it's true that you can only get so far with some people through words. Now, I'm not advocating for some basement-style torture in place of a conversation, but sometimes it's hard to argue with results.
Tell me, how old are you, Charlie?
7.
7? Well, my, you're practically a lady.
But sometimes these things just sort themselves out and your tricycle just magically reappears at home. Then you gotta explain the tied-up kid in your basement. You know what? I don't really think we need an explanation to realize some dark stuff is going on down here.
We're playing house.
The boy is all tied up.
Roman Polanski's house.
But despite all his rage and anger, especially towards his mother, Stewie is able to keep a calm, level head at times, even when he knows it's time to whip out the big guns like in Cool Hand Peter.
Now, Stewie!
All right, I guess this is the night die.
There's nothing more terrifying than a gaggle of drunk middle-aged moms, so Stewie's right to take the most extreme precautions. After all, if you're gonna stuff a boy into a bumblebee costume, you better believe he's going down swinging. Kinda funny that it was this moment that finally made Stewie realize, oh yeah, I can just use a gun. And the fact of the matter is that no one can make Stewie do things he doesn't want to do, and that includes using the toilet while he's perfectly content with pooping his pants, like in Brian in Love.
I'll use these facilities when I'm damn well ready. Until then, you shall continue to sanitize my crevasse.
It's true that you can't rush these things. It's like that saying about how you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Well, you can't make him poop in it either, and the same can be said about babies, especially one as adamant as Stewie. Although he is missing out on the universal pastime of mindlessly scrolling on your phone while sitting on the toilet until your legs go numb.
God's sake, will somebody get Patches the hell out of here before he decides to bend a fresh biscuit on the conveyor belt?
And if you've got something to be embarrassed of, Stewie's gonna make sure you can't skirt by without talking about it, like when Brian started dating a blind girl in The Blind Side.
No, her eyes are normal. They're beautiful, actually.
Bet they're not.
Stewie's a bit out of pocket on this one, but he's only doing it because he knows it'll get under Brian's skin. And come on, it's Brian. He's dating a blind girl who also happens to hate dogs. You know he's gonna handle this whole situation pretty weirdly, so it might actually be okay to grill Brian on this. Just don't let his girlfriend hear. Her hearing has to be like super good.
I like your delusion, Brian. Most people would say, I lost, I give up. But you just keep trying.
And it's safe to say no one's out here blocking Brian from scoring quite like Stewie, whether that means insulting Brian in front of women or targeting said women for their own life choices, like in Mr. and Mrs. Stewie.
All right, hold on. Is this what your parents are paying all that tuition for? So you can dogs?
It's definitely not the career direction one would think college would steer a young lady, but I guess if there's money in it, it makes a little more sense. I get that everyone wants to get their crazies out in college before they go out into the real world, but this is probably a bit too crazy, even for the wildest sorority. Not a great reflection on your college career when a baby is somehow the one warning you about making better life choices.
The hell do you think I was talking about when I said victory shall be mine?
You have not said that in a very long time.
Well, I'm back on it.
And if Stewie can't block Brian, he can at least ruin his reputation with anyone he's ever had a relationship with, like he tries to do with Ida in Thanksgiving.
Hello, Brian. How have you been? Very well, thank you.
He threw up when he found out you were a monster.
I get he's trying to ruin the dinner for Brian, but can he not ruin it for everyone else by talking about vomit? Gravy already kind of looks like it. Heck, throw some of that on some stuffing and you'll gaze into the future to see what the toilet bowl will look like after the holiday. Sorry to ruin Thanksgiving for you all, but you already knew what I was all about.
What the hell? Mom! Mom, it's me! Mom!
But Stewie actually likes Brian, and if he needs to defend him, he's more than capable of weaponizing his insults and roasts onto others, like when the family got themselves a new Brian in The Man with Two Brians.
We don't like your cooking, your stupid karaoke nights, and we especially don't like the way you hump that chair in the den.
It must just not be as endearing as when Brian does it. When Brian does it, he does it with passion. He looks the chair in the eye and talks it through it. When new Brian does it, it's probably purely for his pleasure and nothing else. Have I thought too much about this? Well, I guess Stewie could ask for some of the details from Rupert, considering new Brian said he went to town on him. But sometimes Stewie's rudeness and crudeness can be boiled down to brutal honesty, as he's unafraid to give his opinion and speak his mind. This especially goes when he's talking about celebrities, and sometimes he can sum everything up with a single word like in Yug Yillamaf.
I had to explain to America why Heidi Klum broke up with Seal. Face.
Short, succinct, and to the point. Amazing how so little can give a person a lot to think about. I don't think Seal has anything to worry about, though. You write a song like Kiss from a Rose, and you're automatically the most romantic guy who ever lived, even if you are named after a sea dog.
Well, you smell that? He's passed out drunk. Does no one in this house have any dignity?
But sometimes the savageness of Stewie comes from how quick he is to beat the crap out of someone, so make sure you have his money when he asks for it, otherwise you'll end up like Brian did in Patriot Games.
That's what happens, man.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's what happens.
I guess he just really needed that money. After all, he is a baby. It's not like he can just afford to be down $100 or so. I think you should have the same respect for other people's time and money as you do your kneecaps, because it's been made very clear how easy all of those can be shattered.
You got till 5 o'clock.
You freaking psychopath!
Clean yourself up.
You'd think being beaten within an inch of your life would wise you up to delivering on the money when you're told, but I guess Brian's got a bit of a masochistic streak going on. And don't worry, Stewie is gonna roast him for this, though not in the verbal way.
Stewie, listen, this is crazy. You got— oh my god!
But sometimes the situation is just too sad to warrant physically beating someone up, so Stewie just settles for some very harsh words, like he does most of the time with his mother, especially in a bottle episode.
Thank you again for hosting. Prayer hands emoji.
Your flashlight's still on, you old—
What is it with older people always having their phone flashlight on anyway? I get if it's during the day, but she's in a dark kitchen. Does she think iPads just emanate light out the back too? I'm talking like there isn't going to be a day when a phone is installed directly into our brains that my old self won't have any idea how to use. I'm going to be blink dialing people big time.
Forgot to grab one for Chris, you absolute ancient hag.
And Stewie isn't exactly shy about sharing his feelings about Lois, and if more people could understand him, the whole world might have known what he was up to when he admitted to his murderous tendencies on national television in 15 Minutes of Shame.
It's not so much that I want to kill her. It's just, I want her not to be alive anymore.
Oh, well, thanks for clearing that up, because I think a lot of us were getting the wrong impression from you. Then again, having cameras shoved in your face always makes you watch what you say, or you feel a primal drive to do the dumbest thing you've ever thought of. It really is one or the other. But Stewie isn't quite at jackass levels of doing stuff. Right now, he's kind of floating around the level of the Kardashians, where he's just doing a lot of yelling.
I said egg whites only! Are you trying to give me a bloody heart attack? Make it again!
And it doesn't matter how old you are or what you look like, Stewie's gonna have some kind of biting critique to give you. God help you if you're overweight, because he'll have plenty to say, like with the NAAFP members and the Fat Guy Strangler.
I'll bet none of you can even find your own Find your for $1. Find $1.
Somehow Stewie was able to turn an insult into a blooming business opportunity. It's the job he was born for. He could be a PI for finding people's unmentionables, although I think the P will probably stand for something different.
Maybe he can bring his sling blade and order up some French fried potatoes.
And he'll even use a happy gathering like a baby shower to let other people know about their weight, which is exactly what happens at Stewie's in Stewie is Unsant.
Now this makes it real! Oh my goodness, that's enough cake for you, Marybeth.
Well, at least you worked it in naturally and subtly to avoid embarrassing her. As subtle as a rocket launcher. I'm not really sure if the pregnant male toddler should be the one throwing insults around, considering he's a pregnant male toddler. But that's just Stewie. He'll plow ahead and let you know what's what, like he doesn't have a mirror in his entire house.
How old are you?
Well, how old are you? You look like you're 40, which means whatever you've got in there is 100% brain damaged.
But sometimes Stewie's jabs are actually pretty subtle, flying under the radar without you knowing, like when Stewie was happy to see his family return home and baby not on board.
Mommy! Daddy! Chris! Dog! Brian! They're home!
Leave it to Stewie to take a heartfelt, joyous moment and find a way to sneak a dig in there. To be fair, Meg's name is kinda hard to remember, so the next best move would be to just refer to her as whatever species she looks most like. Kinda surprised with how big a Star Trek fan Stewie is that he didn't call her a Klingon.
I promise with all my heart that I'll never say or do anything bad to you for the rest of the evening.
And if Stewie doesn't have any respect for the living, don't be surprised to find out he doesn't have any for the dead either, as the first thought that comes to his mind after Stephanie's killed and then there were fewer isn't exactly a positive one.
I can't help feeling this would be sadder if she wasn't heavy.
I'd be more upset that a free fancy dinner has gone to waste. This is, of course, a terrible tragedy involving one of the show's most beloved characters of the past 10 minutes. But it would be a shame for all the food and wine to go to waste. I'm just saying, Stephanie probably would have wanted the party to keep on rolling.
If anybody's gonna take that down, it's gonna be me.
And like with Stephanie, Stewie's gonna say what's on his mind, even if it brings down the moment. But sometimes you just gotta put people in their place like he did with Brian during the holidays in Christmas Guy.
All I can say, Brian, is you've been making really creepy eye contact with me all morning, and I want it to stop right now.
And this is after Brian learned Stewie went back in time to save him from being killed by that car. Of course he's gonna be throwing some loving glances your way. You gave him the gift of sweet, unpredictable, stressful, scary as all get out life. Which is cool and all, but this is the one time Stewie apparently doesn't appreciate goo-goo eyes directed at him from Brian.
Alright, game on! Stu S.A! Stu S.A! Stu S.A!
And Stewie has no problem punching down on those less intellectually capable than him, as he pretty much had a field day with Brian when he was dating Jillian, especially in Whistle While Your Wife Works.
Can you please leave now? Oh, now I get it. She's a moron.
Yeah, but people like her get a pass for their other benefits. That's probably why Brian was with her in the first place, although secretly, I think he was just happy to be dating someone who was closer to his level. And even then, their intellects are about as close together as North America and China.
It's like she's 5.
And that's just one of the things Stewie is used to dunk on Brian with, but he also took the time to tell Brian all the names he and Rupert called him behind his back in Dog Bites Bear.
Fat Lassie, Scooby Don't, Rin Tin, Poopy Snoopy.
Yep, those check out as names a literal toddler would come up with their teddy bear. With each name, Brian probably feels less and less bad about being the one who killed Rupert, but sometimes you just have to roll up to your hater's funeral. Gotta let him know who really won in the end.
He always knew there was something off about you, and now we know what it was. You're a psycho!
And if you thought Stewie was tough now, just wait until you see how tough he becomes after detention irrevocably changes him in The Birthday Bootlegger.
Well, Stewie, you've completed your detention. What have you learned from this experience?
That your mother's a
Definitely sounds like someone who's ready to be reintegrated into the outside world. But while he returns to a place he once knew, everything feels different now. You have no idea the amount of strain being in detention for 6 hours puts on a boy. It's a pipeline not meant to fix a man, but to break him.
When did this new slab of beef get delivered?
My name's Chris.
You don't have a name until I give you one.
I think Stewie was actually just looking for an opportunity to finally rock the wife-beater look. It's one of those wardrobes you can't really justify unless you've spent some time in the slammer. Or if you're doing yard work. Stewie's tough, but not tough enough to ruin a fresh manicure on mowing the lawn.
I met a new friend in detention. His name is Thomas the Shank Engine. I think it's time you two met.
But Stewie's rudeness and bluntness can also be seen as a defense mechanism that, like in animals, helps protect him from predators out in the wild. Literal predators in the case of Herbert and Moving Out Brian's song.
That's a mighty full sack you're carrying.
It's off, you perverted old freak.
Ooh, we got a fighter.
Oh, you have no idea. How Stewie hasn't had the foresight to just incinerate this guy already is beyond me. Maybe he sees how much joy he brings to Chris's days and holds off on getting rid of him. That's not a good thing, though. Can Chris maybe find someone who fills him with joy, but who doesn't fill us with disgust?
Oh my god! I've never felt so stupid!
Really? But Stewie's insults aren't just reserved for the older people in his life, as he's also been seen to lay into kids his own age who might not even understand what he's saying, like in Stewie Goes for a Drive.
Gavin. That's a stupid name. And nobody likes you at school. You're gonna be ugly when you grow up.
Weirdly enough, Gavin might just be Stewie's best friend at school. Friends dunk on each other all the time, but I'm not so sure Gavin has any clue what Stewie's even saying about him. I guess Stewie just goes into defense mode when he sees a kid his age with a full head of hair. Bald babies stay mad.
And it smells in here. Oh, hey, Brian. Bye!
But back in the day, Stewie's insults were a lot more eloquent and verbose. They could even make Chris sound like a cunning linguist when Stewie took control of his mind in the story on page 1.
Allow me to purchase the provisions I demand, or I shall transform your blue collar into a red one
And that threat carries a lot more weight coming from someone of Chris's stature. He might not know anything, but that just means he also doesn't know how to pull his punches. Better do what he says and give him whatever he demands. Although this kind of approach doesn't really stick with Stewie. That kid actually prefers getting his hands dirty when he can.
Oh my god, there's an orgy in my mouth.
But sometimes Stewie's rage and anger are honestly pretty relatable. Like, don't you hate it when someone just isn't using their entire brain when playing Pictionary like in a fish out of water?
Jackal! It's a jackal! Jackal!
Time!
It wasn't right the first time you said it. Why the hell would it be right the next 10 times?
That's such an oddly specific thing to be guessing over and over again anyway. What the heck does a jackal look like anyway? Oh, so that's what one of those looks like. Man, what the heck was that Spider-Man villain smoking when he came up with the name and costume? I'm sure Stewie's drawings probably weren't the best, but this Pictionary stuff is real. Take it seriously or get the heck out of the living room.
Oh boy, Lois, it's a real mess down there. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do this in the time I quoted you earlier.
And it should be abundantly clear that Stewie just does not care if someone lives or dies. Heck, if the dying part can be made funny, that's probably the option he's going with, like in Road to Rhode Island.
There's only one way to put an end to this nuisance. He's wearing a wire!
What? You son of a...
And that baby is gonna sleep like a baby after that. But that really was a fair response. You gotta respect the quiet hours of these motels. People gotta wake up bright and early the next day to run from the law or have an affair. Those are pretty much the only reasons I could think of that someone would want to stay in a motel. They invented hotels for a reason after all.
Hello? Oh, damn it, a pus-spewing, blood-gutted hell! Oh, what?
But what's your favorite savage Stewie moment? Be sure to let us know down in the comments, and if you want to see more compilations of other characters' toughest moments, let us know that too. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more Family Guy videos.